Hello and welcome to the Whisky.com news. And I have the recap of 2022. So I take all the very important headlines of 2022. We've clustered them into a bit of sections of topics, and then we put it in chronological order. The first one the first topic block is from Ardbeg. There was a lot of news from Ardbeg. First off, in January, there was the Ardbeg fermentation. The fermentation was the single malt with the longest fermentation duration on the market. It goes back to a kind of happy little accident in 2007. They had a defective boiler, and so the wash bags were filled, they were fermenting, but you couldn't distill, so they had to ferment, and then they had the longest duration of fermentation, and 6 wash bags were distilled with that long duration and were put into the cask for this fermentation duration experiment. Then we have the NFT whiskies from Ardbeg in April, and also the Ardbeg Punk Rock Limited Edition in April. In October, Ardbeg brought out the Hypernova. Then we had big news from Macallan. They have kind of often big news with a lot of high-priced whiskies, but this one, just peaked out as it was the oldest Macallan yet, and probably the oldest whiskey in the world, with 81 years, and it's called the Reach. Next up is March with the new stills from the Rosebank distillery. So Rosebank got new stills, and in May we had the crime at Glenfarclas, where a group broke in and stole whiskey worth £100,000. They knew exactly where they need to break in to get the very, very special bottles. And then I have a huge block of new distilleries. Let's start off with January. We had the Loch Lear distillery with their first whiskey. Then in February we had the Dumfries Whiskey Distillery producing new whiskey, and the Nine Rivers Distillery in China, the biggest single malt distillery, with their start of construction. So they've started with construction. Production is still a bit further away. Then in March we had the opening of the Pontville Distillery, and in May Clonakilty was celebrating their first whiskey. In July, we had the Cairn Distillery with their first whiskey in the cask, so they started production. And in August, the Lag Distillery was bringing out their first whiskey to the market. In August, the Talisker Distillery opened their new visitor center. In October, we've seen the first Jack Daniel's single market, and hopefully I will get one of these bottles here on my cask in 2023. Because I'm really excited. How can such a big whiskey distillery that is a mass whiskey, can they really do something single malt as well, or can they just do Tennessee whiskey? Then we had a lot of law and legal battles in this year. First of all, it was not a legal battle, but it was in the legal sense, is English whiskey wants to become a protected term. Then we had the first legal battle in November with Jack Daniel's going before the Supreme Court against a small producer of dog toys, and they had a very similar marketing product with the number 2 on your Tennessee floor carpet or something like that, and they sued them. Let's have a look. Let's see how that is ending up. In December, Conor McGregor is getting sued again for his proper number 12. This time not because of the 12, but he's getting sued by his colleague and friend Artem Lobov because he thinks that it was his idea with the proper number 12. Also, there was a lot of investment in 2022. First up, in January, Glenmorangie wants to invest more than 10 million into new new equipment. And then in March, Edrington also announced that they want to have new warehouses for Glenrothes. In May, it was Dalmore's plan to invest more into the Dalmore distillery. Then in June, we had $23 million for warehouses at Four Roses. And then we had the Bucano distillery with Jim Beam investing in September. They wanted to do $400 million US. Yeah, for a new distillery. Then in November, Sazerac wanted to invest, or will invest, $600 million US into new warehouses. And the last news for this year is, someone who's getting out of the whiskey business. Alan Winchester, the distillery manager from Glendronach, Benanriach and Glenglassaugh, is getting into his retirement after 50 years of working in the whiskey industry. So that is, big kudos to him. He really is a big guy in the whiskey industry, and now he is enjoying his whiskey in his retirement. So that was it. That was the recap of 2022. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments below. Write me down what was your most important story, what shook you up a lot, and hopefully we'll see good news for the whiskey industry in the year 2023. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.